Well, look, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody.
And that is President Trump addressing the online war of words between himself and billionaire Elon Musk in what's looking like a very ugly breakup.
Yeah, Musk, the former head of the Department of Government Efficiency, took to his social media platform X yesterday, blasting the president in a series of posts. He went on to say without him, Trump would have lost the 2024 election and Democrats would control the House. The posts ramped up with Musk claiming Trump is named in the widely speculated Epstein files, which is a list of people who visited child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Now, the president responding on his platform, Truth Social, saying Musk went crazy after he ended the electric vehicle mandate and that the easiest way to save money in the budget is to end Musk's governmental subsidies and contracts.
Joining us now, Dr. Susan Roberts, friend of the show, political science professor at Davidson College, to help us try to make sense of this back and forth. And Dr. Roberts, we were talking with you during the break. You said you saw this coming a mile away.
Well, I think I did. I looked at the first press conference very closely, and I think if you looked at it, you would see Elon Musk standing and Trump sitting in a slouched position, looking over. And I said, this will not end well. Trump does not like to share the spotlight with anyone. And I think he felt that this was, in a way, what am I going to do with this fellow? I've got to give him power, but I don't like it. I'm not sure I want to be upstaged by Elon Musk, who has some things that Trump does not have.
Well, I mean, obviously, Trump saw something in Musk to bring him on to create Doge and to try to, help the overspending and the oversight and everything else that we've been watching. So where did everything come unraveled? Why the big, beautiful breakup, right? What's going on now? Where did you see? I know you said you saw it in the beginning, but what was the straw that broke the camel's back, you think, behind closed doors?
Well, I think that it's too easy to say it was the loss of money for Tesla. That's just too much of an easy target. I think part of it was Elon Musk was taking the credit for a lot of these things that Trump wanted to take credit for. And I think Trump, in a way, knew that there would be some kind of result from these layoffs. He was seeing it play out electorally. There were the coalition, Republican coalition, was not fighting back, but unhappy. And the carnage from those layoffs was not the same thing as the carnage, so to speak, from Trump and Elon Musk not being able to save the money that they thought. And I think at some point, the American public wants to see not completely two unorthodox people operating government. There's Trump, and then there's Musk. And I think that when Musk started criticizing the electoral impact he had on 2024 election, that really got to Trump and got under his skin.
Dr. Roberts, when we talk about what actually impacts the American people, obviously the EV mandate, the credit there, that's something that impacts us. When we talk about SpaceX and the future of NASA, that's something that impacts us. But how much of this is just political theater, and how much of this is something that American people actually need to pay attention to because it could impact them?
Well, I think we've gotten accustomed to political theater, and I think it was perfect for television, celebrity politics. And I think if you think about it, it didn't surprise a lot of people. There's Elon Musk doing kind of buzzsaw politics, and we saw in Trump what we've gotten accustomed to seeing, kind of bully politics. And I think the American people can look at it as a very nuanced way. And I think they too might say, Donald Trump, for sure, but they've learned one thing about Trump is he doesn't want to share the spotlight with anyone, and he will be thin-skinned. I think many viewers will listen and say he's thin-skinned about a lot of things. How big the election was won, who takes credit for the win, who is the president. It was funny to say he gave Elon Musk the key to the White House, which means virtually nothing. Jared Kushner, in his biography, as the Washington Post reported, said that it was amusing that the key is supposed to say, you present this and they will open the gates of the White House to you, even if I'm not president anymore. Well, that's ludicrous.
if you are part of the GOP, I feel like loyalties are probably on the fence right now because you want to stand behind the Trump administration like you feel like you should, but then you're also trying to befriend big tech, like Zuckerberg and Musk. And so is there a confusion, maybe an identity crisis of I'm not sure who I should, where my allegiance should lie?
I think there's a split, I don't know, or at least some separation. And it depends on how close to the election these sorts of things are. It does cement the uncertainty that Americans have, and not just America in general, but people, leaders, foreign leaders all over the world. The uncertainty is still there, how long it lasts. And I think Musk he may have cut his losses. You look at the Tesla buyers, these are not the MAGA voters. Necessarily. And will people now buy Teslas saying, well, this is a sign of being anti-Trump? That's really a little far-fetched, but I think there are a number of ways this will play out. And I think they're not all going to benefit Donald Trump nor the American people.
Dr. Roberts, I want you to put your professor cap on as if you're teaching your students here. What do we take away from this in terms of billionaires getting involved in political races? Is this going to be kind of a warning sign to, okay, if you tread too close to them and you get involved, this is how it could all end up? Or is this a sign of how much influence you can actually play if you're willing to throw your money behind somebody?
I think money still buys influence. Money has always bought access. It doesn't necessarily buy an election, but it buys access. And I think we're accustomed to that when we look at dark money in politics. It just hasn't been this public and hasn't been this celebrated. I think sometimes money has been more hushed about the influence, but I think this is something that Americans are seeing on full display, and they haven't really seen that before. It will not change the role of money in politics.
Well, you go back, you got J.P. Morgan, his interest with Teddy Roosevelt, Howard Hughes and Nixon. I mean, Henry Ford and Coolidge. It goes back decades and presidents. It's been going on for a long time. Money always talks. I'm curious, are there any safety security concerns if maybe the defense contracts or space contracts, if some of those are withdrawn because of this feud going on between Trump and Musk?
Well, I think the SpaceX is a consideration as it's the way to get to the International Space Station. But I think I always want to point out that today the impact is much greater than in the past because we have social media. We can get drawn into that discussion. And there wasn't so much an emphasis on how one framed it then. I think social media really ignited the money in politics here.
Well, it is something that's playing out right in front of our eyes. The public breakup of Elon Musk and President Donald Trump. I'm sure this is not the last of it. They're supposed to have a phone call there to see if they can squash their differences. We'll see if that works out. Phone calls with the president. Interesting stuff right there. Dr. Roberts, as always, we appreciate your insight on this. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.